What's going on, everyone? Today I want to go over why I will be pulling for Cyrene in version 3.7 of Honkai Star Rail as a free-to-play player. Now let's talk about what I'm getting specifically. Am I going to get the Eidolon 2? No. Am I going to get the best in slot like cone? No. That means that I literally will be getting an E0S0 Cyrene as a free-to-play player. Is this breaking my account? No. So many people are going to dispute that, and that's okay, but I know, objectively speaking, Cyrene will benefit like crazy on my account with the units I already have, and here's why. Now we know there's power creep in Honkai Star Rail, and this will affect Cyrene inadvertently, because the thing with Cyrene is she's not as susceptible to power creep as a support, but the units who she relies on to stay up in the meta are, because in order for Cyrene to be meta, Chrysos's air DPSs need to be meta, meaning that if they can't function anymore, Cyrene will not be able to function anymore. We know this by now, right? But I feel like Chrysos's air DPSs, the 3.x DPSs, aren't meant to last forever. I feel like it's the kind of thing where you pull Cyrene in order for these 3.x DPSs to last in the long term, in 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, in the future. And I feel like Cyrene's value will continue to stay where it is right now and even go up a little bit as time goes on and people want to use Chrysos's air DPSs in the future. So what I'm saying is I will be using Cyrene and Fäon together for a good amount of time, and that's because I want to use my Fäon forever. You see, I'm free to play, so my options are limited, but nonetheless I have been replacing my DPSs fairly often. The first one I used in the endgame ever was Firefly, who was pretty good, but I was using her in a 3-cost team comp for a year straight before I benched her for Fäon in version 3.4, and I was also using the Herda, which is also about a 4-5-ish cost team comp for quite a while. I never really had a lot of vertical investment. I never cared enough about my DPSs to use them or get the best in slot supports for them, and so I was benching them, typically about a year after I'd get them. But Fäon's different. I actually care about Fäon. I got Cyrene just for Fäon, which is a first, and I will be using Cyrene with my Fäon as well, who right now can still zero cycle the endgame. Now, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of things that make people not like Cyrene is the fact that she's apparently locked behind her E2. First of all, I don't even know how that's greedy considering we saw the same thing with Acheron. But anyways, with Cyrene, I disagree with the fact that she's bad before you get the E2. People think that, 2 cycling in order to get her ult going is a horrible thing, when you have to realize almost 99% of people are not going to be zero cycling the endgame with any Chrysos's air DPS in the next 2 years. Maybe 14 people total by the time 2028 rolls around will be. But most people who have a high investment Fäon team comp or a high investment Casterus team comp are still going to be getting 3 cycle clears, 4 cycle clears, maybe 5. I don't know. 0 is a possibility, but with the supports you already have for your Chrysos's air DPSs, you're not going to be using them forever, and people still have that mentality. You have to realize that no matter how good your team comps are, there's going to be better units that come eventually. Jingliu's best in slot teammates are new gen units, same with Acheron, same with Firefly. Constance is coming soon, which will kick Renmei off a lot of people's break teams. You have to realize that you're going to appreciate having Cyrene if you are using a Chrysos's air DPS for a while, and you're not going to be using your Bronya with your Fäon forever. You're not going to be using your Sparkle with Fäon forever. You may not even be using Cyrene forever with your Fäon. And for me, that time will come inevitably. And if I had to choose between an E0S0 Cyrene and a Tingyun, I think I would choose Cyrene. And even the benefits that she gives to non-Chrysos's air DPSs, they are minimal, I get that. But it wouldn't be that different from having like a Renmei on the team, maybe even a little bit better. And I still do use my Renmei. 80% damage increase is nothing to sneeze at for a non-Chrysos's air DPS. These buffs will stack together, and Cyrene can work with non-Chrysos's air DPSs for sure. But even so, I do have plans on making these units work for a long time. Fäon was one of the first DPSs I ever got who could zero cycle the endgame, and he's the only DPS I have entirely who can zero cycle more than one patch, more than one refresh. I'm planning on going all the way for this dude, and that does mean having the best in slot teammates for Fäon. So that's about it for this video. Am I making a mistake here? Maybe. But for me personally, I don't even care that much about meta anymore. I can consistently max star all 3 main endgame modes pretty easily. It's not that big of a challenge. Sometimes MOC will be a little difficult, sometimes Apoc Shadow will be a little difficult, but I still end up getting the max star clear nonetheless. And it gets to a point where you might as well just start pulling whoever you want and making them work for fun. That's so much better than obsessing over meta. And at the end of the day, you have to realize that spending 80 pulls just to get a character for a premium team comp still means you're losing out, because you're only getting half a pull in the endgame every 2 weeks with said character, right? And that's assuming they even make a difference. If you can already max star the endgame consistently with an E0 as Zero Tribute, for example, do you need the E1? No. She's a support, she has longevity already just naturally built into her kit. You don't need the Eidolon 1. And if you're getting the Eidolon 1 just to be a sweat, you're only gonna waste your pulls instead of getting a new character that could be fun to play for the first time. I'm just getting Cyrene because I like her, and I'm justifying why in this video. I'm going to make Cyrene work. I have confidence in that. But I'll let this one off here. I have nothing else to say. I'll see y'all. Goodbye.